Welcome back to the Stuff for Whatever podcast. Your host, BQuanchi here. Before we get started, I always like to say the best way to support me and the channel is to like, comment, subscribe, watch, engage, whatever. The three main socials are YouTube, Twitter, and Twitch. You can find links to those social medias in the descriptions of videos, about on the channel, and all that. I don't know how often I'm going to do the podcast. I might have like one or two more before I take a little break from it. It's just been kind of a little tough sometimes when it's just like me and my own lonesome, the microphone, and a laptop and all that. But who knows? I would like to have like more engagement in terms of like an audience community. Even I doubt that would ever happen, but you never know. But sometimes I like to talk about the topical stuff or just my general interest. You can catch Twitter for my fun tweets and the updates, like when I go live on Twitch, which I do. Been streaming gaming lately. It's kind of fluctuating. Usually 3 nights a week. Speaking of that, I've been playing Pizza Tower. I'm probably going to play that game to completion. I have been whittling down Castlevania Symphony of the Night and Breath of Fire 5 Dragon Quarters. But I might break away out, so I'm not doing like consistent series and all that, but we'll see. But those VODs are uploaded to the YouTube channel, so a full circle. So we have a very special podcast today. But yeah, I just have been having fun with some gaming. One of my latest gaming itches that I've been scratching is that rhythm music Final Fantasy game that's coming out. The Thea Rhythm. Okay, I probably mispronouncing that. With the Finer Bar. Whatever. I did a really bad job about it. That's how you know it's not a sponsored bit. But it was a 3DS game. I'm glad that we made it and they brought it back because I never got a 3DS, so I skipped it. But it's a really I like the art style. It's kind of cutesy in a sense, but it's pretty fun. It's pretty much like RPG kind of elements to a rhythm game, especially like the Final Fantasy music. I mentioned this because they just released a demo like 2 weeks before. I think a little over 2 weeks. I think it's the 16th when it comes out, and it had the first one demo count. But that demo goes hard, like really hard. In a sense that you get a lot of good content, like it's a tiny fraction of the full game, but you get a lot of good stuff. And that's the thing. I'm not sure if there's like other consoles a demo because I'm playing the Switch version. I know it's coming out for PS4. I'm surprised it's not coming out to others. It would be kind of cool to see it on PC, but yeah, they have a lot of tracks, a lot of party moments you can create, and have. I mentioned that because you can transfer your demo data to the full version when it was released. I know it's like I think Square's pretty big about that too. I think like Octopath or Triangle Strategy when that was a demo before it was released. They have a lot of things like, oh, you can play demo, but when you get the full version, you can just transfer that. I think even Nintendo did that with Miitopia. Is Miitopia the one with like the RPG with the Mii's and all that? So I thought it was pretty cool. I have a little fun with it too, and I don't think it's like so much as a remaster, but just kind of like a remaster on steroids because they have a lot more tracks. They don't have like DLC like with Chrono Trigger, Chrono Cross, Near Automata, or whatever you want to call it, and I think speaking of Octopath Traveler, I think that's also having tracks from there too. But even though it's in the base game, like you can kind of see all the series that I talked about. And they even have like Final Fantasy Record Keeper and Final Fantasy Mobius. It's like, oh, that kind of stings a little bit because those are good mobile games that got shut down. But I'm pretty sure they weren't out when the 3DS version came up. So I think they have a lot of new content on top of that. So not only is the upcoming like DLC and stuff like that, but I just recommend it because the demo is a pretty hefty demo game before you even buy the game. So if you're curious, check it out. So kind of impressed with the demo, but I would play it. I'm also curious how it would be streamed or shared in terms of Let's Play, because I even noticed, because I actually made a tweet about that as well when I was talking about, like, I know Square Enix is really big about copyright claims when it comes to music and cutscenes with the games. The big thing, music, and this being a game heavily influenced on the music of Final Fantasy. But they have like links to website, like if you open the game's menu, it talks about like, I forget exactly the term, but they cover that. I'm curious to check that because I think what was it a while back, the Kingdom Hearts game, the Melodies of Memories. I know the acronym was MOM, but the Kingdom Hearts rhythm game that came out, I thought that had a lot of issues with like copyright claim and like even on Twitch. I feel like YouTube's a lot more stricter with that than Twitch. I don't know, but I feel like that game even like shut down streams when it came to like streaming it. So I think maybe they learned a lesson. That would be a fun game to stream. Um, I don't have a setup for Switch. My setup's on my stuff is hooked up with my computer, but we'll see. But that's its latest gaming itch. And if you love Final Fantasy rhythmic games, music games, that's a really fun one. It looks like a lot more complicated than it is, but it's simple. But especially on higher difficulties, it can get a little much and overwhelming. So I was like, ooh, I can't even play the difficult setting when I used to do that with like Guitar Hero or DDR right now, the home versions. But it's an A plus so far in my book, so I'm excited for it. So I even had to pre-order it. So I'm not too big with like buying a whole bunch of DLC, but I might be tempted. I might like drop it in terms of like I'll get this and that, but it's a recommendation. So that's my gaming recommendation. On top of that, Pizza Tower is pretty fun too. I'm probably gonna beat that game on stream. Other stuff I want to do, but we'll see. But I love the comments. I love the support. Who knows? But just what I've been doing. It's one of those things like, hey, if I have a microphone, I have a computer, and I'm going to play these games anyways, might as well stream to see what hits. Speaking of which, for some reason, like, this is like talking about like small numbers, but for some reason, my Pom Pom, that's the hamster game. It's just kind of like a auto scroller, but you kind of like put stuff down. I did beat the game, so there is a playlist on the channel, but out of nowhere, it just got 20 views. Like, oh, okay, but not much. I feel like a lot of my views are just like people like somehow the video maybe autoplays or something because I don't get the much like watch time versus the views. So I think that's like, oh, kind of hard to take it seriously, especially if there's like comments or anything that makes it like real or whatever. But just like boring stuff about the channel. So the next thing I want to talk about is Elon Musk. And I was tempted to make this a bigger tweet, but it's like one of the things like I don't have Twitter Blue, so I'm not as visible or verified or whatever. But I don't know, it's just like one of the things I just have to rant about for a little bit. And since this is YouTube, he can't say shit about it. But it was a while back, sometime last year, the whole thing with Nancy Pelosi's husband getting attacked in a home and stuff like that. And there was this big deal, like Elon Musk shared like an article on Twitter. I think it said something about like maybe a gay lover. I forget exactly the details, but it was false information. And I know he eventually deleted the tweet, but it's like that did spread a lot of more misinformation because of his, his visibility and, his presence online and all that. So I think it was like criticized for that, and then I'm not sure what this context is, but something saying like, "Oh, this is really a good time for Elon Musk to apologize to the Pelosi's." Like, I even forget who posted that or tweeted that, and then Elon Musk replies like, "Oh, I did," and he points to a tweet saying like, the tweet itself is, "Nonetheless, I apologize." In the context of that tweet is like someone was saying like, "Oh, Elon Musk, they want Elon Musk to apologize, but he shouldn't," and then he replied that, and I don't know, like I'm bringing this like blue for use, like I don't know, is Elon Musk like a sociopath or something like that? Because first of all, that's not a real apology. Like if you consider apology that you're replying to somebody, so it's a reply tweet, it's not that visible. Give it, it's Elon Musk, so it is as visible as probably a lot more prominent than other people on Twitter, but it's a reply tweet for first most. He's not directly apologizing to people affected, like the Pelosi's. And then it's to a person that's telling him not to apologize. So he's doing a reply tweet, not directed at somebody, with 2 words, because he said nonetheless as 1 word, so nonetheless, 3 words technically. Nonetheless, I apologize. And it's like a fake ass apology, like not taking accountability. But I think that just makes it seem like a psychopath or sociopath is like he's proudly pointing to that, like, "Oh, I apologize. This is an apology," and like that is not an apology. It's like, Like, I was almost going to tweet, like, wow, congratulations on doing less than the bare minimum to be a decent person. Because, yeah, that apology was, like, not apology. And that he considered is that he proudly points to that, like, oh, I apologize for that situation, that I spread misinformation that could be very harmful, at least to that case of the Pelosi's. Again, I don't know context. That is, like, one of the things, like, it pops into my bubble and, like, really, really. And yeah, so I was gonna like make a scathing tweet about it, but again, I don't have social presence, so it doesn't even matter. And I think maybe if it did, it would just attract the wrong people. Yeah, because I was gonna tweet like, uh, "Congratulations, Elon Musk, for doing less than the bare minimum to be a decent human being." But don't worry, you have people who bought Twitter Blue that would act like you took accountability and give a heartfelt apology. It's gonna be a tweet like that, but like, nah, that's not really worth. Like, maybe that snarkiness will get some likes, but then I feel like I'll get people like, I don't know. If even that's just assuming I have any presence at all online, which I don't. Even though I did have a banger tweet, I'm somewhat proud of. Um, it was I follow like some of those AR arts. AR, generate art. I think it's kind of like, I wouldn't pay for it. I get the whole like argument that it steals from artists and like it sucks. But I think there's some like gimmick accounts on Twitter that like post funny prompts or funny thing like, oh look, tell AI to draw hands or give the weird prompts. So I think it's amusing in that sense. But someone like, I forget, it was like The Office, but yeah, The Office as Pixar characters and stuff like that. So I did a thread, like giving a prompt of doing The Office, the U.S. Office, not the British Office, but The Office as Pixar characters. And that's okay, but I made a funny tweet that said they look like they're part of a mobile game with interesting but misleading ads that turns out to just be an uninspired puzzle game. For some reason, that tweet got a lot of attention. Again, I say a lot in my small little insignificant speck on the internet, but it got a lot of likes and impressions and all that. So I'll see. I don't know. I don't want to feel like I'm a slave to internet trends and attention and social media, but a little attention is nice. It boosts my ego just a little bit. And one thing I want to also mention, I mentioned this last week about parasocial relationships, and it's funny, like these podcasts are kind of like a stream of consciousness or off the cuff, so I don't like plan. Sometimes I mentally like, hey, I want to talk about this subject, and I want to mention about this, that, and the other thing, and all that. But kind of recap, I think just with this day and age, parasocial relationships are, I think for lack of a better word, natural, like just because. And I also said like parasocial relationships always existed. Like you have people obsessing over singers or actresses or actors and stuff like that. But you always had a huge divide. Like, hey, I only see them on a movie screen. I only hear them on the radio or maybe an interview. But you don't know these people. Nowadays, when it seems like we have these internet celebrities or whatever, when it comes to like let's plays, vloggers, streamers, stuff like that, and podcasters, it's not just that they are successful, they have this good presence, but you get so much of the content, like you hear a lot what they say, what they think, and all that. So it's kind of hard not to have that parasocial relationship in the sense that, hey, I care about this person. Like, I think it can get really crazy when you get obsessed. Like, oh, I want them to be my boyfriend. I want them to be my real life friend. Oh, I do anything with them. I'll buy the merch. I'll buy this and that, whatever they sell. I think that can be very unhealthy. But I think also part of it is that since you get such a big piece of them, sometimes the one thing I wanted to mention is that you can relate to them a lot. So I think sometimes that comes natural, like, oh, they have kind of the same vibe. They kind of have my same sense of humor. They kind of have my same way of thinking or sensibilities. So I think that's also like last 2 cents I wanted to add to that is that I just think how much content we consume, the kind of content where people can be a little real when it comes to content creators, like I said, like last week, is that you're never going to get 100% of the full picture. Like, stuff and details is going to be left out. Like, we don't know everything, TMI, anything like that. Like, we don't want too much information. They didn't want to share it, like the personal life, love life, medical issues, whatever. And even part of it, like, hey, they want to be entertaining. Like, even if it's just like a podcast is a little bit more like talking to the audience, they still want to be entertaining. They still want to, you know, put out there that should be out there, or at least that's worth being out there versus, hey, this is my personal stuff. People don't need to know that. So I think it's unhealthy when you think like, oh, they're going to be my best friend, or they get me, I get them, I really know them. And you really don't. Like, they're not going to present themselves 100% all the time. Not that they're saying that they're being unauthentic. It's just like, hey, people aren't that way. Even with normal people, like, you're not going to tell everyone else, even your close friends, coworkers, your life story 100% of the time. But yeah, I just think that that day and age where it's almost like a natural instinct to, like, if something were to happen, you would care about the person's well-being, which I think that's, I think that's healthy too. I'm using these words healthy and unhealthy, but I think just knowing where you stand, because most likely you're never going to interact with these people directly. You're never going to meet these people. These people aren't going to care about your existence and vice versa. So even though they're telling you to buy their merch, buy whatever the sponsoring bits are or whatever, just keep that in mind, that even though it feels like, hey, these are real people, because it's not like a huge attractive celebrity on a movie screen. You're like real people in front of a camera on YouTube. It's just like, hey, you're not that connected as you think, even though mentally you may think you have stuff in common, or you mentally think like, hey, it's like I can be the friend. So that's my thing, is that sometimes you just kind of feel like you're on the same vibe with somebody, but sometimes it's just going to be you watching the content and nothing more. And that's just a kind of a good frame of mind to be at. So another thing I want to talk about is I don't want to get too much in Netflix. I know that's been an issue lately with the password sharing, all that. So that we'll see how, because it's like, oh, it's not like this or that. It's like he said, she said, versus how strict they're going to be. It sounds like they're going to be stricter. It's been talked about, but I don't know. But going to Netflix, I want to talk about one of the newer shows that came out. It makes me laugh because I think of other shows that get getting canceled, like animation. I think I even mentioned that too. So, but I did want to talk about that '90s show. So, I heard about that. I saw like the tweets and Facebook ads and whatever. It's a little side tangent. It's always weird that Netflix, like, some things they really push marketing, and then some things they don't. And I think like really like intriguing shows like animation, like The Inside Job, I thought was really good. I hope Disenchanted, I think that's what it's called, either Disenchanted or Disenchantment, the Matt Groening show. I hope that doesn't get canceled, because I think it may have one more or two parts that's being squeezed out of it. But I feel like some shows they like barely market and like, oh, these shows aren't working, so we'll just cancel them. We only cancel bad shows. We don't cancel good shows. Like, you're not even pushing the marketing. Like, here, have 3 more seasons of Big Mouth, but Inside Job, Dead End Park, nope. But then back to that '90s show, like, I was kind of looking forward to it because I really like that '70s show. It's a really good classic. I have to admit, a lot of it I did watch syndicated. I think maybe the later half of the show's run, I did catch it as they were putting out new episodes, but really good run. And I heard like, oh, is it coming out? And they brought back, I forget the actor and actresses who plays, it's Eric Foreman. Yeah. I'm bad at celebrity names in their character names on the show, but they played the parents, Red and Kitty. They came back for the show, and they had like a little guest appearance of the original cast, like Tommy Chong and Ashton Kutcher and Philip Roundarama. And I'm butchering that. It's like, oh, this is kind of neat, like a '90s show based off that. Because I even remember, like, at work, like little meetings, like, oh, what's your favorite show you're watching? And then people are like, oh, that '90s show. And it's okay. We'll see how it plays out, because I did binge the first season, and I don't know, it just feels, I don't know, safe, or it doesn't really lean in. It's like it desperately tries to capture that charm of that '70s show, but I think it fails a lot. It even felt like that '70s show kind of like leaned into like all the fads and stuff like that. And I feel like the '90s show did do that a little bit, but not as much. But it's like some of the '90s think, oh, flannel, I want to wear flannel. And oh, dial-up internet, remember dial-up internet and all the sounds it makes. It's like a demon making sounds. And I think they even did a bit about like that show 90210, but it's like I don't know, maybe it's also because the cast I feel like is very young in compared to when they filmed that 70s show, because you feel like you're watching kids as teenagers. It just feels very safe and boring. Like even I love Red and Kitty and the that 70s show, but even then they feel like very dumbed down, even though it's the same actress, same actor, and all that. And it just feels like it doesn't really lean in too much. Also, I feel like I don't know how they write these characters. Like the premise, like the main character Leia is Eric and Donna's daughter, and like she has a hard time making friends. So when she's visiting her grandparents, I don't know, it's like, oh, awkward. She's awkward, hard making friends. That's relatable. And like she creeps on the neighbor's bedroom or like checking out. Oh, please, please, please be my friend. I have so much hard time making friends. Be my friend. Or oh, be my boyfriend. Or oh, I need a kiss from boy. I need my first kiss. Oh, I'm so desperate and awkward. And then I think see like they have like this couple that's like the dumb couple, kind of like Ashton Kutcher, Kelso. Even though Kelso's son is also like another character in the show, it was like, oh, we're the dumb couple, and then like it just feels like so overplayed. And then like the girlfriend is actually smart and like working to get into a good college and all that. And I guess another thing about the show that's kind of like, I wouldn't say like too ridiculous, but they keep on doing like the big segment with that 70s show is like they'll get high and have like a little circle and stuff like that and have like little jokes and like, oh, we're high and stuff like that. But it's like, I feel like these bits are written by someone who has never smoked pot in their lives, and like, oh, we're stupid and dumb because we're high, and it's like, it's cringe. I think that's part of it. It's like really cringe. I'm not sure what's going to come out with it. And also, one other thing I want to say, this is maybe kind of mean, but the actress that plays Donna, I don't know what happened to her, but it looks like she has huge bags under her eyes and stuff like that. I know she's like maybe 2 or 3 episodes of the season, but when I saw her on the screen, like, holy damn, it's like you had exercise baggage underneath your eyes, like, and it's not like dark, like tired, but I don't know. Again, that feels mean, but it feels like it kind of like plays it a little safe. It doesn't really. It's been like that theme of being not in the 90s. It feels like they could have done a lot more with it, and the characters are like either unreasonably dumb, or unreasonably awkward, and stuff like that. Even like they had this bit with what's his name? Phil random around by the foreign kid Fez, yeah. Because he was like dating a neighbor, and then they wanted to break up, and then like in the end of the episode read like, oh, she's in her 40s, she has 2 kids, like, oh, good, break up with her, and then the end of the season, he still wants to be with her, and like, what's with that throwaway joke about her being old with kids, and even though they're pretty old too in terms of, because like because Eric Donna's kid is like in high school, so it's like maybe like 13, 14, 15 years. I forget the context, but it's like there's like a time skip. Again, going from the 70s to the 90s, so at least like almost like 20 years or less than that. But it's like, And I almost forgot, like I was thinking like, what about the 80s? Like, oh, they actually tried to make that 80s show a thing. I have no memories. I only remember like 1 or 2 like promos for it. Cause I think they tried to like shove that in as that 70s show was still airing new episodes. I'm not sure if it was the same setting, or if it had the same characters. I just remember there was like a chick with a huge mohawk or something like that, but I forgot. I'm not sure if they aired a whole season or what, but that 80s show was an attempt to make like a spin-off of that 70s show. And I forgot that exists. That's why they made this 90s show. Who knows? Maybe they make this odd shows for like early 2000s, but we'll see how that plays along. But 90s show, it's disappointing. Like, it's nice, like the sets and all that. It kind of feels like, oh, that's like, it feels like it's kind of banking on the original That 70s Show, without really delivering it. I think that's a good way to put it. So we'll see if it has any more seasons or anything like that. But hey, that's a Netflix original for you. So next, I want to talk about King of the Hill. Because there's some buzz. Well, not really buzz, the confirmation that Hulu is bringing the show back with the original cast. But we didn't want to talk about this on the podcast, about fan theories of King of the Hill. And This is just going off the top of my head. I'm not sure which ones of these are actual fan theories, stuff I heard. So this is like, maybe it might be frustrating, or you can add in a conversation in the comments below about King of the Hill fan theories. So I have three I thought that's worth mentioning. So let's go with the first one. And the first theory is that Bobby Hill's dad is not Hank Hill, but it's actually Bill Dauterive. And people say like, oh, that makes sense because how Bobby's kind of like a little overweight, kind of overeats, very lazy, kind of like the neighbor Bill. I always had a thing with the show, like Bill was very infatuated with Peggy and all that. So they're saying like, oh, because Hank had his narrowed urethra, he couldn't conceive a child. So Peggy went to Bill instead to get a child that she wanted. I know Film Theory did a video about that and like talked about like genetics and stuff like that. So I think it's been pretty much debunked. I thought that was interesting because you can think about it that way, because they even had an episode where Bill confesses to Hank that I slept with Peggy. It was that one episode when they're on like the boat in the water and they like jumped off to go swimming, but forgot to drop the ladder and like stuck there. And it's like more of a, hey, we're gonna die here, and he's made that confession, which like he just wrote off like, no, you didn't. Like, I know, but what if that was real? Because people can argue like saying, oh, Peggy could have used Bill to get pregnant, knowing that she can easily deny it. No one would accept that Bill actually slept with Peggy and all that. And I think it's a fun theory. Because you can also think like you just said like some episodes, like I forget which one, but it was like kind of like a pyramid scheme that Peggy was in, and then Bill was really helping her sell stuff. Like he's like almost like simping for her so hard that he'll do like almost anything. So you can think like, oh, she can do that, okay, and like not have the consequences of finding out who Bobby's real father is. But also, the thing has been debunked. I think if you look at Hank's dad, Cotton, and he had another son that we see in the series that looks a lot like Bobby as a baby. So not sure how much often they flash back like Hank. So you can see there's a little bit more resemblance with Bobby to Hank or Cotton or Good Hank, the other son of Cotton. All that. And it was a pretty fun episode too, like when Bill built that, like, I think it was like a kiln or something like that. It was like for cooking. And it's kind of taking Bobby under his wing about cooking and his recipe or whatever. I got to rewatch the episode. It was a pretty good season, but I thought that was kind of a fun theory that Peggy used Bill to conceive a son because Hank couldn't, conceive with the urethra. So I think that fan theory is pretty much debunked, but I think it's an interesting one. And another fan theory, I'm not sure if this one is really mentioned as much. I know I heard of it a little bit, but it is a fan theory that Dale Gribble is aware that Nancy cheated on him with John Redcorn, and that he knows that about that, and he also knows that God, what's his son's name? I gotta look that up real quick. That's right, Joseph. So the theory is that Dale's aware that Nancy cheated on him with John Redcorn, and that she conceived a son, Joseph, and that even though he treats Joseph as his biological son, he like accepts that, but there's a theory that he knows about it. I think it also, like, I know they make him like a really dumb character, but the theory is that he knows, so he can kind of use that against Nancy, like not directly, so he can get away with some of his shenanigans and stuff like that, and even rub that in the face of John Redcorn, like, hey, I'm raising your son. You can't have this meaningful relationship with a son because you're not the active father. So that'd be kind of interesting. I know they bring back the show, so I think maybe they should revisit that. I felt like it was like it was an interesting bit. It was like fun, like everyone knows but Dale, but like his character in the show is very big on conspiracy theories and attention to details. I know they write him off as like dumb and all that, and like totally missing the important information. But the theory is that he's aware of that, so he can do kind of like invest in like this and that, and his like conspiracy theories and all that, and Nancy can't be too mad, like, because she'll be guilty that she cheated on him and that she had a son and all that. Because I know they had an episode like you saying, like, oh, aliens like took my seed or something to. Because I guess the thing was part of the show that he was far away from Nancy, like across the country when she conceived Joseph. So, and they also make like Joseph. That's one thing about the show is that they make him like really incredibly dumb. She read like he eats it up, but that'd be interesting. To revisit like if Dale really knew, or if he did know, because I think there was even episodes like they almost like tell him, or Peg was going to tell him, or someone was going to tell Dale. But basically, the fan theory is that he knows, but he acts like he plays stupid just so he can get what he wants in terms of his own shenanigans or whatever, or just to, again, rub it in John Redcorn's face, like, "Hey, I'm raising his son. I actually." I have Nancy, you don't. Because I also know they had like the story beats as well that Nancy kind of like drops her affair with John Redcorn and he's a little bit more devoted to Dale. So I thought this was a good story beats. We'll see with the I guess you could say reboot or how they pick up the series for Hulu, but I think that'd be interesting area to explore, especially if that's a big fan theory. I'm not sure if that's been debunked or discussed more. Again, reading these kind of off the cuff, so let me know in the comments below what you think of them. And then my last theory, I'm not sure if this is a big one, it's just one of my personal ones, but there was that big episode where they go skydiving. Peggy's parachute doesn't deploy and she just hits the ground. She survives. She's in a body cast for a while. It's like one of those miraculous things, like she survived. She should have died. I just know that there's a big funny bit when like Hank knows that. He's like, bah! Well, Peggy just crashed into Earth and stuff like that. My fan theory about that is that that injury also damaged her brain in a sense that it kind of warped her personality. I feel like Peggy, from season 1 to the most recent season before it got canceled, she acted totally different. I think now she's a little bit more, I say now, but like the most recent season, she's a lot more arrogant. She's a little bit more prideful. Even if she's clearly in the wrong, like she acts like she's the best fluent Spanish speaker with her teaching. But then, like they had an episode when they went to Mexico and they had like a citizen in Mexico like acted like wrongly put with the class and stuff, like, almost like kidnapping a kid from Mexico and all that. And it's like there was the like I mentioned, the pyramid scheme one when she also tried to be a realtor. You see a lot of times when she gets ahead of herself. I think even times like she took a cash advance and got in trouble, and I forget, like, but basically made it a lot more prideful, a lot more arrogant. And a lot of time that's her downfall when she wasn't really like that in season 1. So like my theory, again, I'm not sure if this is a big fan theory, is that when she fell from the airplane, that damaged her brain and kind of warped her personality and made her a completely different person. And I have to like watch the whole series from start to finish just to like absorb that, just to see, is that really true? I feel like even that they kind of like did like flashbacks, like when she was on the farm with her mother and stuff like that. So I felt like they had this like strong woman personality, even though she may be in the wrong or whatever. So it'd be kind of interesting to see how that state of mind, like, did her personality just like flip and stuff like that. I just think at the beginning of the show she wasn't as developed as a character because it kind of made her kind of more mild manner as a housewife and stuff like that. But then she's like a hoo-ha confident. But it even had some really great episodes. I have to say one of my favorite ones is when she meets the drag queen, not realizing that the drag queen thinks Peggy's a drag queen as well. That's one of my favorite episodes and all that. They should really bring this character back. So we'll see what happens with the reboot. But let me know in the comments, like, again, I'm off the cuff. I'm not doing any research, which might make this a little bit more frustrating if you're a listener. But did Peggy's whole personality just get warped due to the injury or what? Because it definitely made her, I think, out of the show, they made her a lot different from season 1 to the most recent season. Maybe like Bobby too, because I feel like it's just like that natural, like, writing characters, developing them, and you're not going to have like all these sides to them and all that from season 1 as the show goes on, and you want to make more interesting things about these characters. But I thought that was a fun theory. I guess the last note I want to make about this podcast is if they brought, well, not if, but when they bring King of the Hill back, I'm kind of curious how that's going to happen. I don't think there's much details. Let me know in the comments if you know or heard more. I just know like the original cast is coming back, and people wonder like, is it going to be a time skip? I think with animation, you don't need that time skip because it's all voice acting. It just kind of depends. Sometimes it'll be replaced if they have like kids doing like kid roles. All that. I never thought that was the idea with King of the Hill, but people wonder, is it going to be a time skip? You know, what's going to happen? Because you didn't really do that too much in the original run. Like, you see, like, this is, I got a little sad just thinking about that, but Luann character, I think she was in high school, she graduated, she had a kid, I think she got married with Lucky. I'm not sure if they're like actually married, but actually got pregnant, had a kid. So they have like a small passage of time, especially also with like Hank's dad having another son, like getting, I think got remarried, and then also Cotton Hill died as well. So they had that passage of time, but they never really skipped too much. I really hope they don't. If they do, I hope maybe they do it within the comeback season, like, or maybe even a few episodes. But if they came back with like, oh, it's like 10 years later, know that, because that'll just, we want to see at least Bobby go through high school completely and graduate. I would like to see some passage of time, because I think that's also interesting in terms of just having the characters in the same age and all that. But also, I'm not sure what they're going to do with Luann's character, because, you know, unfortunately, Brittany Murphy, who voice acted her, passed away. This is my 2 cents. I don't think anyone's watching that has any influence on the show, but I really think they should do, for like the comeback season, have Luann die on the show. I was thinking like it would be a good story beat. Not to say it's good because it's good, but I think it would be an interesting story beat if Luann died from a drunk driver crashing into her and all that. Just because I know like drinking beer and all that, like with Hank and Alamo beer, is a big part of that show. So I'm wondering if that'd be a good story beat, or just like kind of a story arc to explore like the survivor's guilt of, hey, you had a loved one unfortunately killed by a drunk driver, like alcohol caused this. And any do that, it should not be like a regular character, like don't do Bill doing that, just have like some random character and all that, just like him at survivor's guilt. Because I think it'd be interesting, like going back to Lucky, like if he was widowed, like how he would raise his daughter. I think they should make him a little bit more driven. I know he's like the dumb redneck who got like some settlement money from slipping in a Megalo Mart, but I think they should like give him more of a career, because I think even with people who might be like hillbilly or hickey or whatever, they can know stuff when they know stuff. Like I would like to see him like maybe become a mechanic or work like at a car parts store and can like learn things and having that drive. I think they should really do that with Lucky, so he doesn't feel like a leech or just like some dumb guy, just like whatever. Especially since the father, who knows, they might recast Luann and have her a voice actress, which could be fine too. I'm just glad to see the show coming back, but I think that would be just like a really strong like moment if they would actually kill off a character versus replacing a voice actress and all that. Because, you know, Simpsons did that a few times, even though they don't really do pass their time. Like they killed off Maude, even in real again with real life voice actresses dying. They got rid of Anna Krabappel and all that. So we'll see. I just don't want them to jump, because I always feel that was lazy too. Like they reboot an animated series and then they just like, oh, time skip 5 years later. I can get it for like sitcoms when it's like real live people on screen, but I think with cartoons for the most part it's kind of lazy. But we'll see. I'm kind of excited. And also Futurama's coming back as well, so we'll see. I feel like Hulu does a little bit better with animation in terms of supporting them, especially with I probably because like Fox owns them and Fox and Disney and all that. But that's my like 2 cents. But then again, also like I said, that a passage of time, like a time skip, is lazy. But I would like to see them go in that direction, like to age up the characters, like not so like dramatically, like one episode or just a few episodes, like maybe with the season. because it's always weird, like when, especially like Family Guy and stuff like that, when it's like, oh, it's a Christmas special, but it's like it's the 6th, 7th, 8th Christmas special, and everyone's the same age. Like sometimes I'll give them like a year or two, but it doesn't feel like that. But that's my 2 cents, and a few extra pennies in there. But yeah, excited to see that back. But I think that's enough for me rambling. So thanks so much for listening. Again, the best way to support me and the channel is to like, comment, and subscribe. YouTube, Twitter, Twitch are the big ones. A lot of gaming stuff in terms to do like game VODs, and I have been doing somewhat of a Let's Play thing. I'm somewhat tempted to do that more. I just don't want to bloat up my subscription feed, like if anyone's actually paying attention. I always had that weird, like, hey, I see subscriber counts kind of slowly tick up, but it just like, who's watching, who's listening, I don't know. But yeah, just want to blurb a little bit this week. Maybe have like 1 or 2 more podcasts and then take a break, because I don't want to feel like it's a chore, but also I have stuff I want to talk about, and sometimes I can just like bleed that over into if I do a stream and all that, even though it's focused on a certain game or that. But we'll see. It's just little me with a little microphone and a computer and all that. I have some stuff in the work that I'm posting. I want to do more video essays, but I've also been kind of lazy. But I feel a little bit better today. Like last week, I recorded a bunch of stuff and I've been having nasal congestion and but it's out there. Like, it's probably the thing, like, who's listening, so hopefully I don't get judged too harshly, but it's just something to kill the time. Anyways, you guys take care and have a good rest of your day. Later.